welcome into another edition of Off the Leash. I'm Ashley Holder. That's OBR's Fred Greetham, Mark Schwab. And we got a special guest in the building, ESPN's Daniel Oyefusi. Thank you for joining us today, Daniel.
Thanks for having me.
Listen, I feel real special. We got look, if you know how to read and you're
guests.
a Browns fan, you know who Daniel is, okay?
But you have to know how to read.
You have to know how to read. If you don't not know how to read, then I don't think you know who this gentleman to the left of me is, but I'm just saying. All right, so the Browns, man, they just finished rookie mini camp last weekend. We got a chance to see the first, some of their first round picks. We also got to see the undrafted rookie free agents, first year players, and some tryout guys. It was also Todd Monken's first rookie mini camp as a head coach for the Cleveland Browns and his staff. Guys, you two were out there. What are you most excited about right now?
Well, to me, they passed the eyeball test. I mean, last year, I was looking at the top four guys, you know, when you looked at Mason Graham and Carson Schlesinger and Harold Fannin and Quinshon Judkins. Both Quinshon, Fannin, Schlesinger immediately stood out, looked like players. I've seen guys in the past that didn't really. This year, those top four guys I was zeroing in on, again, you know, the two wide receivers, Fano, Concepcion, Denzel Boston, and then EMW. He's going to be like the JOK. He's got the long Emmanuel McNeil, Warren, the safety. All of them passed the eyeball test. They look good. Obviously, they're just running around, but they just, you know, first impression, you know, was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you're only going to find out so much in a 2-day rookie minicamp that we were able to watch. But, again, you pass the eye test. You see Denzel Boston. You see the size, the speed. He had a really nice sideline catch where we were watching during 11-on-11s. You know, for all the talk about his size, he's a real smooth route runner. You saw Casey Concepcion, the shiftiness. I think that he's a guy that's going to be used a lot like Zay Flowers with the Baltimore Ravens, who Todd Monken obviously coached for 3 years in Baltimore. Again, you're only gonna know so much. You're only gonna find out so much. You know, they're with the vets now. You know, like they're on the field with the vets now. And then when OTAs picks up in a week from now, we're gonna really see what they're about. But they look like they belong. They passed the eye test. So you know, off to a good start for sure.
I feel like the big thing that a lot of people have been talking about is like, you know, what are these receivers look like? You know, like a lot of talk has been about Casey and dropping a couple of balls in college. There were some reports that I didn't get a chance to make it to minicamp last weekend, but he dropped a couple of passes.
Get him in there?
Dropped a couple of passes, but it was a result of him trying to make a good play from what I was able to, you know, read about some of those reports. Would you say that's
the one I saw specific was just kind of like the little individual drills, you know, and they just throw a nice toss to him. But, you know, it's I think if he's a playmaker, you can live with that. Because he definitely looks like he's got the get up and go and the spin on a dime. And I know Flowers has had some of them, but Monken feels like every issue that he has is more fixable because it's not catching with his body. It's more, you know, technique. And so I think coaches will kind of get their hands on him, but you can live with a few drops if he's in the end zone like he was 25 times at Texas A&M. That's what they need is playmakers.
All right, Fred. Well, you know our history here of drops. You know how upset I get with drops and Jerry Jeudy.
I wasn't going there.
Don't get me riled up. You know how I get. But we actually had a chance to be able to hear from Denzel Boston and Casey Concepcion after practice. Here this is.
Yeah, you know, I think I performed overall decently well. You know, there's always still more on the bone to go get. I'm a rookie. I still have a lot to improve on, a lot to get better at. So, you know, these past couple of days, I feel like I've done a good job. At the same time, I feel like there's a lot more for me to get done.
The more you can do, you know, the more value you have. So, you know, I'm ready to, you know, I am ready to do whatever to help out the team.
I think I'm a smart player, so, you know, I can play through a bracket and I can also play on the outside through press coverage. You know, it all comes down to just understanding defenses and coverages and knowing where you can get open and where you can't get open. So I think that's going to help me develop and be able to play in the slot and on the outside.
I think you're better off at most putting him in two spots. If you can keep him in one spot, that helps their development. But I don't think you can get away with that. They're going to have to learn at least a couple of spots. But you want them to be able to play fast and be able to function without having to think. And that's been difficult wherever I've been when you've got a rookie. Happened a few years ago at the place I was before. And you've just got to be careful of putting too much on their plate. But I was awfully pleased with them today and how they functioned, got lined up. You can see their skill set. You certainly could today.
I'm very, versatile. I can play pretty much any position on the field. And, after the catch, it's electric. I get the ball in my hands. I'm trying to go score. So.
Yeah, 100%. I can see how it could be an explosive offense, especially I seen some explosiveness from them last year, and then adding us to is going to definitely bring it to a new level.
And Casey was saying that basically, he's versatile. You can use him anywhere, and he was also being used in return drills. So it sounds like we shouldn't be surprised if this rookie is again going to have another big role in this offense next season.
Yeah, I'd expect him to have, arguably the biggest role or maybe the biggest impact on this offense. For as good as last year's draft class was, and they found a lot of playmakers on both sides of the ball, I think what can make this draft class really special is not only the players they got, but the positions at which they got them. You talk about a potential franchise left tackle at Spencer Fano. You talk about a potential number one receiver with Casey Concepcion. We saw him moving around, a lot of motion, some jet sweeps, some handoffs. He is going to get the ball a lot. And like Fred was saying, he might drop the ball a little bit, but you'll take that if, you get some 50-yard touchdowns out of it too.
That's the thing. I mean, the guy has a lot of drops. To get a lot of drops, usually you have to be on the field a lot. Like the best starting pitchers in the world, they lose a lot of games. You know why? Because they keep getting run out. If they were that bad, they would take them off the field. If Concepcion couldn't catch the ball and was a detriment to his team, he would have been taken off the field a long time ago in college, and he wouldn't be playing. So the drops are annoying, but it's when you only drop the ball, kind of like what we saw with Judy last year. Mm-hmm. All right, now it's a problem. He didn't contribute anything, right? He was negatively impacting his team. Concepcion will mix in the drops along with a whole lot of plays. And so you'll take him, go make the plays. Hopefully he does that.
You know what I find funny is they said, when they had OTAs and obviously there were optional workouts, and then they Monken went out and drafted 2 receivers, and they said Jerry Jeudy was at practice the next day. I think that Jerry knows, listen, these guys could come up and very well be those playmakers. We see that Harold Fano was able to step in, and Njoku is somewhere else and now going to California.
Yeah, they need Judy. I mean, listen, this a lot of 3 receiver sets. I'm preaching to the choir. You guys know this. A lot of teams run a lot of 11 with 3 receivers. Okay, well, that's Judy, right? You're going to have Concepcion in the slot. Boston's over there. Judy's over there. This dude's going to be on the field. They need him to play. And, yeah, he better be at practice. I don't know. You look at it, well, they drafted these 2 and they can get rid of him. That's not how football works anymore, right? You got a lot of guys out there. Go make a bunch of plays.
No, they need playmakers, and I think this will help Jerry Jeudy because now I don't know if he's a pure number one. You get playmakers, they can't put all their focus on him. And what I was most excited about is we harped on this last year is that, yeah, they drafted 2 defensive players, can't argue with them, but they went and their top 3 picks were all players of big needs. Not only a left tackle, but 2 it looks like legitimate playmaking wide receivers. I was harping on that last off season. So far, so good.
Yeah, Andrew Berry said after the draft that the drafting of Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston had 0 impact on Jerry Jeudy, and he went so far as to call him the bell cow. But I will say there are a lot of mouths to feed, and whoever's starting at quarterback is going to have a lot of options to spread the wealth.
Look, I love
a lot of mouths to feed. We don't know if they have a chef.
Yeah.
I don't even know if they have a line cook at quarterback.
I love the way that we're transitioning perfect into the quarterback because, listen, there might be a new quarterback in town that might be starting for the Cleveland Browns. We're going to talk about that on the other side of the break with Mark Schwab's True-False question of the week.
Off the Leash continues. True-False question of the week. You know the rules, Daniel. Here's the rules. It's a strict true or false. There's no maybe, no probably. It's a black, white, thumbs up, thumbs down proposition. No living in the gray area, all right?
We tend to live in the gray
area.
True.
She does this a lot. I have to set the rules. So true or false, Taylon Green will start a game for the Cleveland Browns at quarterback this year.
Daniel, we're going to let you take the first stab at that.
True. I'm going to say true. Well, we know how many quarterbacks the Browns have shuffled through. Honestly, I lost count. I know at one point we were at 40 last year, 2 years ago. They've only increased that number since then. The Browns are known to go through 3 or 4 quarterbacks a year because of performance, injury. I think that Taylor Green will be on the 53-man roster, and therefore I think that we're going to see him start a game. Maybe real late in the season once, they've officially been eliminated from playoff contention. There's really nothing to play for. But I think we're going to see him at some point, even though he's very clearly a developmental player.
I'm saying true as well for the same reason Daniel said. I mean, we had 5 quarterbacks a couple years ago, then 4. They keep going through them injury-wise. And, the other 3 on the roster have all started. So Green starts. I think that puts it to 43. And so why not? Especially I just think that it would be more of the end of the season, playing out the option, see what he can do. But he's intriguing, that's for sure.
Okay, I'm going to go I was going to say, well, I could go here, I could go there. But, I'm going to agree with you two, and I'm going to say yes. Well, you know what? No, I'm going to switch it. I'm going to say
false.
No. I'm going to say false.
False.
Right, false. Thank you so much. The amazing thing is how long we have done this, and I still do not do it
It's a
correctly.
second-grade exercise.
This is absolutely true, and I only have a first grade education at this point. But I'm going to say false, and I'm going to say false just because I feel like if Deshaun, who I do believe will be the starter, plays most of the season, even if you get down to the end of the season and they're not doing so well, which we'll talk about the strength of schedule coming up, I think you'll see more of Shedeur rather than you would see Taylor Green. But I could see some packages being made for him to get in there, run a couple of plays, something specifically made for him, especially with his height.
I'm going to say true, not because I think he's going to be like some dynamic guy and just take over the job. For kind of the reasons you guys mentioned, I don't even think it'll be just a dart throw. I think at some point everyone will be hurt. Because everyone always gets hurt here, right? Deshaun, he's a walking injury. Shedeur was pretty good at staying on the field, but something weird's going to happen. I've seen the way this team operates at quarterback. Some of it's to no fault of their own. They just get a lot of dudes hurt, and I think at some point they'll be down to him week 15, we're rolling him out there, and that'll be the big talker to get us through that week when we have nothing to talk about, because by then the season's already flushed. I can be a ray of sunshine with this team. I probably just need to shut up.
That's the sad part is you, and probably a lot of people feel that way just because they run through these quarterbacks. It's just a quarterback carousel, and you two have covered this team for a very long time and from the area. So you've seen it.
It's very frustrating because the rest of the roster is good. I can tell you a story where the Browns are good. Somebody actually plays quarterback with proficiency. They got a running back. They've seemingly fixed the offensive line. They seemingly have fixed the pass catchers. We know what the defense is. You add all that up, that's a good football team. Out in Berea, never works.
I'm going to make a prediction, probably is I could already see it in the couple days we're there. I mean, because he's a quarterback. Taylor Green was the talk, even though he's a 6th-round pick. After he plays in some preseason game against 3rd and 4th string guys, he should be the starting quarterback.
Yep.
Similar to Dorian Thompson-Robinson's rookie year. He had a phenomenal preseason, but to the point Andrew Berry traded the backup and made him the backup, which was clearly not,
It was
fair
Josh
to him.
Dobbs was the backup, right?
Yeah, they traded
Shout out
Dobbs,
to the
and then
Vols.
we all know what happened. Watson got hurt. You threw him in DTR against the Ravens, and he got swallowed alive. I hope that doesn't happen, but my prediction is the talk of the training camp is going to be Taylor Green because of that 4.3 speed. In preseason against backups, guys that are going to be cut, he's going to look really, really good.
Well, we know around here that we don't believe in 5th and 6th round picks because they're not really 5th and 6th round picks.
According to Ashley,
Shedeur.
Shedeur Sanders was not really
Well,
a
this is the
5th-round
thing.
pick.
I don't really want to get into the conversation, but because
Taylor's
it wasn't
really
here,
not a 6th round
I was saying that Shedeur is not truly, he's not treated. He's a 6th round pick, but he's not truly that because of how much came with him, and he was never being looked at as a low pick. He was
a
always looked
5th round
at
pick,
as
Ashley.
a high pick.
He's not a 5th-round pick in talent, but he's a 5th-round pick in
Just in the number.
in pecking order, in the way that he's treated. He's not going to be treated and handled like he's Cam Ward or Jackson Dart or maybe even Tyler Shuck, but we all recognize that the talent is better than that of the average 5th-round pick.
Thank you. See? That's all. We don't want to start this conversation yet, but we heard from Talon.
We don't have enough time.
We heard from Talon last weekend after rookie minicamp. Here he is.
It definitely means a lot. Like you said, it's really cool. Just the vision that he has for me, and I'm just, especially rookie year, I'm just here to help the team win no matter what I have to do. I'm blessed to have this opportunity and blessed to have them draft me, because not a lot of people get that opportunity. So if it's run somebody over and get that touchdown, I'm gonna run somebody over.
What were your first impressions of Taylon Green out there?
Again, I think he's carried over the Zoom meetings to this morning's meetings and then walk. He operated the offense pretty well. I mean, for someone who hadn't been a part of it, eyes weren't always in the right spot, but you could see a couple of times some of the things he can do with his feet when plays break down. So that's exciting to see.
Can you imagine having special packages for him during this season?
Probably too early to tell that, but I could say that anybody with that kind of athleticism, I think, should he progress in certain areas of his game, I think there would be a possibility of him, whether it's short yardage, once you get in the low red zone, maybe some third down stuff that we could utilize.
Yeah, I just got to do a better job of, securing the ball. It's my responsibility. Every single play I have the responsibility to hold the ball or carry the ball every single play, touch the ball. That's one of the perks of a quarterback, but I have to, the ball is the team is the ball. So just take more responsibility and be more aware of those things. And, I'm glad, like I said, I can watch film and apply it, to, the next time and next opportunity that I get. Because, these pass rushers in this league, are really quick. I'm grateful I got Myles Garrett, in practice instead of the game. So.
Yeah, as hard as it might be for fans and for all of us to maybe fast track Taylon Green's development, especially, if he looks like, Fred is predicting he's going to look and kind of show out against,
Guys driving a Pepsi truck a month later. Yes.
I was going to say that, but I was trying to be a little more respectful. But yes, I think we definitely should temper our expectations. As soon as they drafted Green in the 6th round, Andrew Berry came out and he said he has rare physical gifts, but he needs a lot of polish with his work. And I think that was really smart of AB to come out and just say, like, this is a developmental prospect. I think he's going to be on the roster, but I think that the real key is, like, is he going to make enough progress between now and September in week 1 where he can be active on game day? Because usually you're only keeping 2 quarterbacks active on game day, and then you've got the emergency 3rd quarterback, so you can use that 47th or 48th roster spot on a special teams guy. But if he makes enough progress where you're like, okay, like we could potentially use him and have him be active on the game day roster, then you really start to open up that package that Monken has said that he would envision potentially, where he's in red zone packages and in third and short packages and using that size and that speed. But for now, I think we definitely should just put him on the shelf, let him bake, let him cook in the back, let him work on his footwork, his cadence, his release, all that stuff that Monken said he needs to work on, and then let Shedeur and Deshaun duke it out. And then maybe again late in the season we can come back to Taylon Green. But for now, just let him develop and let him work on himself.
Go ahead.
It's going to be interesting how they handle it, because Andrew Berry really likes, when he first started, only having 2 quarterbacks. As we said, he traded Dobbs to just keep 2. How you going to? I don't think you're going to be able to put Green on the practice squad. Somebody will sign him. So, you're going to have to move somebody, Gabriel or...
I was going to say, we haven't mentioned
I was
his
saying
name.
poor Dylan Gabriel. That was
minutes.
going to be that's what I was about to say. Poor Dylan.
And the thing about Gabriel, like, a lot of people are like, just get rid of him.
That's how I feel.
Well, you just football-wise, that kind of makes sense, except for he was a 3rd-round pick just last year. How common does a team move on from a 3rd-round pick in 1 year, especially if it's the GM that took the guy in the
especially
3rd round?
a 3rd-round quarterback at that too?
Practically
didn't get
never.
much of a
But they're
chance.
not. But they're not using him. They're not going to use him. So
I'm
while that's not normal,
right, but I'm saying it as an organization. You are saying at that point, 15 months. Hey, we screwed up. He sucks. Is an organization really going to do that? Forget what they should do. What will they do if the GM is the guy that took him? And the only thing they could do is blame Stefanski at that point, but they're not even going to do that. They're not going to say, oh, that was Kevin's guy.
But I do feel like if they could get something decent for him or make a like Andrew has always said.
Call the Atlanta Falcons.
Listen, Andrew has always said if there's something that works for him and works for the team, that he will take the opportunity. And I wonder if that's ever going to be something that presents itself.
If Atlanta comes and they say at the end of training camp, at the end of the preseason,
they want all lefties.
We'll give you a 4th round pick.
Oh, smash, accept.
Your pack his bags for him.
Oh, and lovingly wrap his knickknacks in bubble paper. Drive him to the airport myself. A 4th? I think they'd be lucky to get like a 6th or 7th.
They'll showcase him then in the preseason.
Yeah. What is it with Kevin Stefanski and rag-armed left-handed quarterbacks that are short?
He loves his lefties. All right, we're going to take a real quick break on Off the Leash. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. So the Browns getting some major help next season. Now, they only won 5 games last season, and guess what? There is a chance they can win a whole lot more. You know why? Because according to some reports right now in the bottom feeding where, the strength of schedule is, the Browns currently have the easiest schedule in the NFL. You guys, you have to be excited about that.
I can't wait.
We might see 8 wins. We could see a wild card
next year.
Is that too much? Is that too much to ask for?
Next week on this show, we are playing the dumbest game in American media, which is the NFL schedule game. That's a win. That's a loss. That's a loss.
This is true.
Winning percentage based on the now, right? And we know in like 8 months when we're actually playing, most of those numbers won't mean a dang thing. They never do. The teams with the perceived easy schedule.
But to be fair, there has to be some encouraging news. The fact that the Browns have the easiest schedule. You should be able to damn near double your wins from last year.
Unless a lot of those other teams got better.
While a lot of those teams have made a lot of different changes to their squads. I understand that, but I'm just saying, you have to find somewhere to be excited about to be a Browns fan. I mean, dang.
And it's on paper, When the opponents first came out, I saw right away there's only on the schedule the opponent. Now, this is last year, 3 teams with winning records. Houston, Jacksonville, and the Steelers. And you got 6 teams with new head coaches, 8 games when you got the Ravens and the Steelers, and 3 playoff teams. I mean, so, yeah, teams are never the same in the next season. But on paper, they got a lot of winnable games, and this could mess up their quarterback plan if the next year's draft is the plan.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, it does look pretty favorable. You're playing a last place schedule. You're playing the entire NFC South, which is like the race to 8 wins every year. But then when you really start to dive a little deeper, it might be a little deceiving. Like Fred mentioned, like you got to play the Ravens, who had a down year, but were a win away from being a 500 team. You got to play the Bengals, who have really improved that defense, and they still got Joe Burrow and those offensive weapons. And then obviously the Steelers, who won the division. So I don't think it's as easy. I don't think it's going to be the easiest schedule in the NFL. It is going to be fairly favorable. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if, in a year where they've added a lot of talent, they have maybe an easier schedule than most teams. Is that kind of, not really what's best for the organization long term with, winning a bunch of games ahead of a quarterback-rich class in 2027?
Yeah. Nothing for you, Mark?
I thought I said it already. We're ready to play the schedule game next week. We're all going to guess.
Yeah, well,
we're all going to look wrong. We're going to look like morons.
The schedule comes out on Thursday, so we will be talking about that next week. That we will be saying what wins can they get, what losses will they get.
I hope we find out we're going to Paris.
That is also true because there were still reports that they are supposed to play that game in Paris. So
some of them are trickling out. They have announced it's not the Browns, but the Bengals and Falcons are playing in Madrid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some of the international ones are coming out like now. So
yeah.
Might find
Well,
out very
I
soon.
highly doubt that we'll see the Browns with any primetime games from the way that it's looking right now. But Daniel, thanks so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you giving us a couple minutes. Hopefully we'll see you back here on Off the Leash for Ashley Holder, Mark Schwab, and Fred Greetham, and Daniel Uyofusi. This is Off the Leash. Make sure you check us out wherever you get your podcasts at.